The person you're looking at is Mariana Van Zeller of the show Trafficked. This is a really cool show. I had no idea it existed. In this clip, they're about to start talking about ghost guns. Never heard of a ghost gun? I know people who have 3D printers, and apparently a ghost gun is a 3D printed gun. They call it ghost gun because it doesn't really exist in the database of firearms that the United States and, pretty much everywhere has on the amount of firearms that there are in the country. So, yeah, this is actually pretty cool stuff. This is episode 1938, and we're at 2 minutes and 35 seconds. They just get right into it. This woman has done crazy things. Check out the show. The link is in the description for the full episode. But yeah, let's just get into it. And I'm going to switch over to another clip when they actually start talking about ghost guns, because I'm going to show you guys what they look like, because why not? Let's go.
Ago, so it's possible.
Yeah. How hard is it to buy an AK-47?
It was so easy. We went online at the time. I can't remember what the name of the website. Backpage. At the time, there was a website called Backpage where you could essentially buy anything. I don't think that website exists anymore, but it's not even on the black market, regular online website. And we went there, and within, I think we spoke to the guy 20 minutes before. He said, "Meet us here." We went there. It was him and his girlfriend were there. He was high on drugs, and he had an AR-15 with him as well that he was also wanting to sell. We ended up buying the AK. But yeah, so I've been fascinated with sort of how easy it is.
How do you know he was high on drugs?
Because you could tell. I've reported enough on drugs. And
meth, you think?
At the time, probably. He was very jittery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely an upper of sorts.
Jesus.
And then, so then we decided to do this for the first season, actually, of Trafficked, a story on guns and how American guns are winding up in the hands of the cartel in Mexico and how it's responsible for so much of the violence that's happening there. And sort of this cycle, which I don't think most people think about, how then the violence leads people to immigrate to America, and then they come here, and, so it's like a cycle of violence and immigration, and guns, and it's all sort of connected. But whenever we do a story on guns, and another one that I did on ghost guns was released last week on National Geographic, and it is the most sort of controversial issue, the hot topic that we can always. So I immediately start getting messages of people saying that I should go back to my country, and what am I doing? And I'm trying to take away people's rights to own a gun, which is absolutely not the case. And it's
the idea that people wouldn't want to know that police officers are confiscating guns and then selling those guns to the Mexican cartel, that you as a legal, law-abiding gun owner in America wouldn't want that exposed.
Yeah, absolutely. And that the guns that people are buying, and particularly with this last episode on ghost guns, which is the fact that the guns that are now these untraceable and licensed guns are so easy to make, and so many of them are ending up in crime scenes across America and on the hands of gang members and, militant groups and anti-government groups, and it's scary. And that's all what we're trying to do as a journalist, myself, when we decided to do these stories, because I started hearing from people talking about how these guns are ending up in the wrong place. And
how do they make a ghost gun?
So those guns that you just saw, that I just showed you on the screen there, those were ghost guns. Like, these guys just printed them out, and they know the specs. And the one that you saw when the guy was going like this, that is actually I want to say AR-15, but the thing about it was that the guy made it to certain specifications that makes it shoot better and faster than if you actually bought it legitly from like a gun manufacturer. It just insane to me. Just wow. Just absolutely wow. But yeah, it's actually really easy to get a ghost gun because these guys are just doing it themselves. I would play the audio to that other track that I was showing you, but I think that might get me like a little copyright hit, so I can't actually do that for you. But if you want to check that out, I've actually left that in the description as well. It's a piece from Vice. It's called My 3D Printed Ghost Gun. Really, really good stuff. Really cool stuff.
It is. I'm happy you're asking that because I think it's the biggest. People don't understand out there. They think that when you talk about ghost guns, that it has to be 3D printed. It's not. A ghost gun is an untraceable gun. Doesn't mean that it has to be 3D printed. However, nowadays, it's basically so it's a gun that doesn't have a serial number, and it could have had a serial number, and the serial number was scrubbed, and maybe they put a new fake serial number in there. But what happens is because of the 3D printers, it's now super easy to just print a gun or gun parts at home. So there are all these companies out there who sell 80% kits that have everything to build a gun except for the receiver. But there's a company, for example, called Defense Distributed, ran by Cody Wilson, who was the first one to use a ghost gun, or a 3D printed gun. Actually, it was called the Liberator. And he got into all sorts of trouble with...
The Liberator.
Yeah. And he's a strong believer in... he said he wanted his company to be sort of the WikiLeaks for guns, so that everybody could have access to guns. So he sells these kits that are 80% kits. And it's everything you need to buy a gun except for the lower receiver, which is what the ATF and the government actually considers to be the gun.
What part is the lower receiver?
It depends on which weapon, I believe, but it's the bottom. On the guns that he's selling, it's sort of the bottom piece.
Oh, okay.
There's the Liberator.
Yeah, that is a Liberator. Yeah, so this is all 3D printed. And he showed me...
So that's an actual gun, that plastic thing?
That is. And,
somebody pulled that on me, I'd be skeptical.
And this was several years ago. It's evolved a lot. It's evolved a lot since then.
Yeah.
Ghost gun.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a real gun, that plastic thing?
Guns too.
Yeah.
And so
but if you want to see some of the new ones and what they're making,
And
these are also ghost guns.
And some of that is metal. So where do
Some
they
of
get
it is
the metal parts?
It can be all 3D printed. Some of it is metal. So you can buy it from companies like Cody Wilson's. And then
They 3D print metal?
Oh, nowadays, yes. You can
Really?
You can have it's like a polymer. I can't remember.
Polymer?
Polymer material that is. Yeah, that's what a lot of the guns are actually
Like
made
a carbon fiber
Yeah.
or something? Because I've seen carbon fiber barrels for hunting rifles. They make them very light so that people can take them into the backcountry when they go deep into the woods.
There's all the kind of parts you can make with 3D
Wow.
printed metal stuff.
Oh, one of the craziest things we filmed for this Ghost Gun episode was actually these teenagers that were also making 3D and ghost guns, and they came to the desert with us, and we spent a whole day with them shooting guns and showing us what they build. And they were also making drop-in sears, which are little pieces that transform a gun from semi-automatic to fully automatic. And they're illegal, actually, in America. You can't buy that at a gun store, but they're making them for 50 cents. Yeah, it's a crazy...
This episode is brought to you by Athletic Greens. Vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs if you need to have around Rogan to check it out.
It's a crazy world.
How much of an education are you getting in how fucked we are by your show? Because I would be very pessimistic if I had gone to all the places that you've gone to and seen all the chaos that you've seen.
I'm not. I'm not pessimistic at all. I think one of the biggest surprises for me filming this show has been finding out that even the people, not all, but the majority of the people that I've met involved in these illegal activities around the world, that they are very much people just like you and me.
Of course. That's everybody. Mafia members are just like you and me. Cartel members are just like you and me. It's just people trying to get by that just found a absolutely wild way of doing it. That's all it is. But I showed you all those clips that you just saw with that dragon. Like, that's 3D printed. Like, these guys are 3D printing crazy, crazy pieces. And it's like art as well. It's like art, and on top of it, like I just said before, it's working better than the actual the actual factory, pieces that you could buy legally. It's crazy, crazy. And if you check out that other video that I kept showing in and out, it's actually a gun show. It's a 3D. It's a ghost gun show, and like they're like having like a contest as well, like target practice, who shoots the fastest, what guns are the strongest. Like, Wild stuff. This is a great episode, man. She talks about so much stuff. I got like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think I got like 5, 6 clips from this podcast. The one that I'm doing next for sure is real life fight clubs, because that's a thing. I had no idea. But check this show out. Stay updated with it, because apparently everything that she's talking about is what's going to be released in the next season of her show. And I think that's all coming out like nowish, which is why she's on the podcast. So yeah, again, link in the description to the whole thing. Link into the description of the other little documentary that I was playing in and out of. And that's it. I'm out. Peace.